Okay, comrades, I'd like to welcome all of you to another meeting of the Workers' International Network. I'm very pleased to see comrades here from several comrades from countries in Asia who are here. I think we should start by noting the importance of uh, of Asia, the growing importance of Asia in world politics and the world economy today. India has shot up to probably number five in the league table of gross domestic product. China, according to the World Bank, when you adjust the figures for gross domestic product in accordance with purchasing power parity, they actually reckon that China now is number one in gross domestic product, and that there are three countries in the top five from Asia, not only, of course, China and Japan, but surprisingly, Indonesia too is right at the top, and together with India, as I've said, and also together with that growth, there's also been a huge polarization of wealth and massive gap in the incomes and the living standards and in the assets of the population, even more so than was traditionally the case in the past, but more so than ever. We have billionaires. There are several, I think, five or six billionaires in the league tables from India. There are there are comrades of fabulous wealth, comrades of people of fabulous wealth in Indonesia, in uh, Bangladesh, in Pakistan, Sri Lanka, in all of these countries, and we also see the phenomenon of huge armies of unemployed youth, and unemployment is really the key factor in the wave of insurrections and uprisings and revolutions which have swept the region in the last few years. And that, I think, is why it's very important that we examine this process and examine and hear from young rebels, young revolutionaries in these countries, and that's why we're very proud of the fact that we've been able to hold meetings on the Workers' International Network in the last few months of mostly young comrades who've been involved in these uprisings from Nepal, from Indonesia, from Philippines, India. We've seen massive general strikes last week. It was not reported in any of the press. We saw the biggest mobilization of workers in world history in India, which has already seen many general strikes of 250 million. Last week, they had a general strike which brought out 300 million workers on strike. And one of the key issues in India is the massive youth unemployment, which is a powder keg. It means that India, like all of the countries in the region, you could call is a ticking time bomb, ready to explode at any time. And we've seen explosion after explosion. First in Indonesia, in Nepal, of course, previous to that in Sri Lanka, and in Philippines and so on. So what we want to do in WIN, of course, as always, is sharing experiences between workers involved in struggle in different countries around the world to link up, to draw common conclusions, and hopefully to work out a common strategy for changing the world and introducing a new and rational and harmonious way of organizing society, i.e., socialism. So we're very privileged to have Comrade Prakash Devkota from Nepal, who will be opening the discussion. I do appeal to comrades in all the countries that are represented here. Please do participate in the discussion. Give us your experiences and your conclusions from the struggles that you've been involved in. So, Prakash, if you're ready, I would request you to speak for about maybe maximum 20, 25 minutes just to open the discussion, and then we open it up for all of the comrades. Hi, Prakash, are you there?
Yes. Are you hearing
Hi.
me?
Yes, I'm hearing you. We can't see you, but we can hear you.
Okay,
There
now
you
you
are.
can see me.
Hi,
Okay,
Prakash.
hi. Hello. Hello, comrades. Can I speak?
Yes, yes, carry on.
Okay, thank you. Hello. Red salute to all comrades. I'm Prakash Devkota. I'm from Nepal. Uh, I'm so nervous, little more of nervous because this is my first time I'm delivered my idea in English. Uh, so, firstly, I'm going to clarify my limitation. I'm not good in English. My English is not so fluent. My mother tongue is not English. Even Nepali is not my also mother tongue. But I will try to my best, and you will understand. I hope you will understand my limitations. But thank you, Comrade Roger. Thank you, Comrade Bhavana, to invite me in here. So I'm going to present some my observation on current situation of our countries, and as well as the mm, impact of global system upon our countries. My presentation is very my presentation will be very short, but I'm going to divide my presentation in three parts. First of all, I will introduce to current situation of Nepal, and second, I will some examine the causes and historical background, why this situations come, and then I will some uh, small. I have some small conclusion, and I will present. If I don't able to deliver my presentation in English, here is Bhavna comrade and also Meenu. They will help me, and I will give my presentation in my own language, and they will translate to you all the comrades. So sorry for this my inconvenience. So I'm going to uh, present my present. I'm going to present my idea. Now, let's go to the main point. Uh, Firstly, here is 6 March going to general election happened. We all know about the Gen Z protest, which has happened in September 89 in Nepal. Bhavna Comrade also talk about this in this platform. So I'm not going to the introduce Gen Z movement and behind this movement. So I'm just telling the what is happening here in now. Uh, Today is 22 February, and from now 10 days mm, to going election happen in here. Uh, if some surprise incident would not be going, then election will definitely happen in the same date. But we were so doubt in 2 3 months ago. Here is very the situation of chaos here is. So we were most of the people were doubt on the election, but now the all of the stakeholder political parties, government, and peoples all are excited, and they are engaging the process of election. So election is definitely happened, but here. some important things we have seen, which is different from the earlier same kind of some protest in Indonesia, in um, Bangladesh, especially in Bangladesh. Most of the people are compare Genji protest of Nepal to Bangladesh, but now Bangladesh and Nepal, Bangladesh and Nepal are maybe I think different situation. In Bangladesh, uh, ruling party who was the ruling party when protest happened, the party banned to the elections, but not but Nepal there is no ban, no one, and all of the party are going to participate in election, and so here is no any political uh, riots, political clash. So there is a difference between Bangladesh and Nepal. Nepalese are more political, and this is my this is my idea, but maybe this is the different things about Bangladesh and Nepal. I am just telling you uh, about now. We have seen in political sphere, high forces are engaging in political sphere. Firstly, here is one force pro-monarchist, second right wing populist, third some Democrat front, fourth so-called revolutionary, or we call the parliamentarian communist, and fifth some revolutionary, some sect of revolutionary. In here, we all know about the Nepalese history. Here was the monarchy, uh, which is very long duration of uh, history. In 2006, Nepali people were protest against the monarchy and overthrown monarchy. But some monarch are trying to reestablish the monarchy, and they are now engaging some rally and some protest against the Republican and Republic state. But most of the people don't support them. Also, not support them, but they are also trying to reestablish, and they are trying to going some chaos. They are trying going to happening some chaos, and this process is also one of the major force. Second is RSP, the most influential forces in current situation. We call the neo-fascist force, which is called. They claim they are the believe in liberal economy, and they also are the only one stakeholder of Gen Z protesters. And most of the people believe they are the real changer. They are the main stakeholder of Gen Z protest, and they saying we are the best, and other all are the fraud, and their influence is huge and increasing day by day. Uh, Most of the middle class are in there. Some petty bourgeois, lumpen proletariat, and migrators of Nepal who are in the advanced capitalist countries like Western Europe, America, and Australia, also Japan. They are supporting the this political force, and maybe these forces will definitely become the uh, major force, mm, or the opponents. I think opponents. thought is Democrat force, which is led by the Nepali Congress, and Nepali Congress is the oldest party of Nepal, and uh, they introduced the neoliberalism in Nepal, especially. Uh, mm, Now they are also the very strong force. Uh, Fourth, some parliamentary communist. We all know about the CPN Maoist and CPN UML. Maoist were in 10 years of people's revolutions and people's wars, and UML also doing in past UML also doing some revolutionary uh, program, but now they are just engaging in parliamentary system, and they are also introduced or support to neoliberal idea. They are now just becomes so-called communist, or in the name, they are communist, but in real and their policy are not communist. I think this type of communist are all over the world now. You all understand this situation. And fifth, revolution. There are the very very party which is itself called revolutionary, but they are very mechanical, and we all know this tendency also all over the globe. There is some revolutionary sect. They are just trying some mechanical tactics. They are not influence in people. They are just doing some discussion upon the intellectuals. They are discussing upon the some academic ideas, but they are not influence on working class, working also on working mass. There is five type of forces are in the surface, and here is most important thing, which is we are noticing in these days. uh, Working people and peasants are very they are communist and so-called communist intellectual are not with the working class nowadays. We are can I can I support to can I say some support to my comrades?
Yeah, other comrades are welcome to chip in. Sure.
Okay. Comrade Bhavana,
Yes, hi. Hi, Prakash. How can I help you?
can you help me?
हुन्छ भन न के भन्न खोजे
म अलि अड्के के
ठिक छ
Prakash, so far it's been very clear and very useful, your comments so far. So please don't feel inhibited from continuing.
Yes, you can continue, Prakash. It's clear. We are getting your idea.
Okay. Okay. Sorry for my inconvenience. I am so nervous. A little bit of nervous. This is my first time. Sorry. But now I'm also going to continue my idea. This
Uh,
you all know. Maybe you are understand my point. This is the real situation of our country. But as a Marxist, we have to go through the historical background, and we also called historical materialist idea. When we are going to the historical background, we have to go in very long period ago. in in uh, in the mm, late 18th century in Europe, there is a huge uh, transition of feudalism to the capitalism, and there is some revolution where appeared, American Revolution, French Revolution. But in here that time, Nepal is going through the very consolidate form of feudalism, going to consolidate the feudal, very strong consolidate feudalism, which is also called, we call the unification of Nepal. Nepal in that period, Nepal were scattered in very small feudal lords and small feudal, mm, mm, you know, feudal territory. But Prithvi Narayan Shaha is the initiator of, in history, our history. Prithvi Narayan Shaha is the initiator of our uh, country expansion, his state, but that became the now our country. In 18 mm, in the 1814, Nepal and British East India Company were clashed. Nepal and British East India Company were in uh, wars. Nepal defeated and East India Company win. British East India Company win. British East India Company gained the one-third territory of Nepal in that period, and then Nepal became the closest close market of British East India Company. Then British East India Company's goods are coming here and in here and destroying, they destroying the our petty productions. Some some kind of small industry, some kind of other production is slowly going to the dismissal, and our rulers, then our rulers tends to the uh, increase import from the goods, import from British East India Company. This trend is going through very long period. In 1951, after Second World War, all over the world is going through the, especially third world is going through the national liberation movement. In here also, um, in here also the in here also where Rana regime, Rana is the some aristocrat or also called oligarchy. Some oligarch are here and they rule the 104 years solely. In 1951, they are the subcontractor of British East India Company. They are always helper or supporter of British rulers who were in India. After 1947, India became the independent, and then Indian rulers are and Indian ruling class are dominated the Nepalese market, and then Nepal are became the Indian close market. Until now, we are importing, we are import the 95% of uh, consumer goods, other types of goods from the India. Then Nepalese petri production are destroying. Uh, mm, in the Cold War, 1960s to 1990s, here is the panchayat, which is the also the which is also the uh, aristocracy of monarch, and there is no democracy in that time, and some kind of Cold War mm, give us to industries, some industries from the Soviet Union, some industries from the Japan, some industries from the China, and some industry from the India. America is not. America was not give us some physical infrastructure and such type of things. America just give us to more dollar to control our mind, to control our consciousness, and they always focus on the soft power. But other country are give give some road infrastructure, that type of thing. America just little bit of uh, investment on that. Nepalese production are, most of the production are defeated, destroyed, and then after the globalization and neoliberalism, Gulf country were open for the labor, some kind of labor. We all know about the neoliberalism and 1970s crisis. Then advanced capitalist countries industry are shifted in a third world Gulf country and other where cheap raw materials are find, there is shifted, and our huge part of the uh, unemployment person are going there. After the 1996 and 2006, between 1990 and 2006, there is here is people's war, and then they became the rulers in 2008. They also not able to mm, fight against the neoliberalism and also the global capitalism, and they are also become the supporter of neoliberal capitalist. And then here is a frustration is cooking. Frustration is cooking, and we gain the republic state, but here is not any land reform, not going any land reform. Here is not any economic policy which is help to the workers, help to the peasants. Such things is happening here. So workers, peasants are detached from the political communist political party, and they are become free from the working consciousness, and political party are also become the uh, agents of some capitalist, uh, agents of some capitalist, and also the agents of some uh, foreign. I think this is this is the right or wrong sentence, words, I don't know, but they became the agents of some international force and some international capitalist, and peoples don't believe them. And here is uh, cooking some right wings idea, and they are just influence upon the people, and now most of the people are supporting the right wings. People are not supporting communist, not supporting the left, and here is very difficult to now say I am the communist, I am the Marxist, because Marxist and communist are very mm, what, very not good image in here. Marxists and communists have not good image in here. This is the condition, and we are facing this difficulty. We are not able to convey our idea upon the working mass, working people, peasants, and uh, some middle class, some petty bourgeois. We are just now become joker. When we are calling I am the Marxist, they are just doing ha 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 ha. This is the situation in here. And in nowadays, our country is very geopolitically very in very important uh, geopolitical conditions. We share our territory only two countries, India and China. India and China are going to become the most economic powerful countries over the time. China is going to the main opposite force of US, and India also became the regional forces. And here is some geopolitical tensions are going. Tibet also share with Tibet border is also share with us, and some Tibetans movements are also cooking here, and US and European Union are supporting them to. Here is some protest, some uh, mm, some type of festival and other. This is this is the condition in here. I think I'm not good. I could not convey my idea. If some question are raised, if I able to give answer, I will definitely uh, present. I will definitely present my answer. Sorry for my inconvenience. This is the real situation in here, and I think this is also the condition of all over the world. Become because capitalism is going very deep crisis after the 1970s. The global GDP is not going or not increasing in over the 3%, and most of the people are becomes most vulnerable, most frustrating, and most depressing conditions, and left are not able to give give some alternative radical changes and alternatives idea. They are just most of the European countries, and also Latin America, African countries, and Asia, there is growing fascist and right wings politics, and right wings and fascist politics oppress the left idea, left intellectuals, and most of the communist. So this is the real terror, and also this is the time of crisis, maybe. This is not also just our country's condition. This is the all over the world, I think. This is my presentation. Thank you so much.
Comrade Prakash, thank you very, very much for that. You have nothing to apologize for. That was a really comprehensive introduction on the history and on the situation, and a very frank appraisal of the prospects ahead. And we're really very happy to have made contact with you. And I hope you will continue to come to our WIN meetings. We meet every week, and we discuss the issues in the same frank and honest way in which you've presented the issues today. So I think we can all learn from one another. That's the point of our organisation, WIN. So there are many comrades here I know from Asia, from Nepal in particular. Um, and please do not feel shy. come in with your questions, with your comments to supplement Prakash's introduction. And of course, all our comrades are welcome. Who's first in the discussion? Comrades, don't be shy. Do come. Ian.
Just just a quick one to read out my comment in the chat. When you were talking about a decline in support for Marxism and socialism, in I take it the aftermath of this uprising. I was wondering to what extent that reduction in support is actually the plan of some of the protest organisers. As to what extent, i.e., are they reactionary or elements of that kind in there, as well as the obvious failures of the parties that call themselves communist and have become like the mainstream parties in Nepal, and including the allegations of outside influence. I've seen allegations of US influence, but also I'd add Indian influence. I see one of the parties that's newer and coming up is an explicitly Modiite kind of Hindu nationalist party. So I just wonder how much of that is in the mix. Not to say that the whole thing's reactionary, but that certainly reactionary elements are playing a role deliberately, and it's not just the failure of the communist parties, or what do you think?
Prakash, you want to speak after? We have two or three contributions,
Yeah,
maybe, and
yeah. I'm
questions.
just writing the question, and
Oh,
I give the answer overall question.
that's perfect. Thank you. Thanks very much. Norma.
Thank you very much, Prakash, for your very useful and instructive presentation. If I understood, you mentioned that intellectuals in the protest or in your country are not in connection with the workers, with the working class, or with the protest. I would like to know what do you think about that? Which is the reason for that? I understand that intellectuals sometimes and in some countries are far from the basis of the workers. But in particular, I paid attention to your comment and your presentation in this part. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Norma. Matthew.
Hi, comrades. Yeah, thanks for the presentation. It was useful. Sorry. A couple of things I wanted to ask. First is obviously you've got like a large section of the population which is working in other countries, across the various, particularly obviously the Middle East. What's the political effect of that? Obviously the fact that so much money is really, people have to move to elsewhere to get work. Obviously they then suffer from most of the Middle Eastern countries. I mean, the migrant workers have few, if any, rights. Second question would be also on has there been any element of protest against the genocide in Gaza? I mean, obviously it's become, India particularly has become central now to the Israelis. Modi is about to go to the Knesset to address the Knesset in alliance with Netanyahu, and the country has now become a major exporter of weapons and military material to Israel. Probably, one of the largest in the world. And you can see all the shipments going through from India in particular, alongside those of the US. I know. I mean, there's been big protests at points in Bangladesh and Pakistan against genocide. But has there been anything in Nepal? Thanks.
Okay, you got that, Prakash. Any more questions before Prakash perhaps comes in to answer those last three questions? Anybody else? Particularly comrades from Nepal and from other regions in Asia? Well, Prakash, would you like to answer those briefly, and then we'll maybe more comrades will come in the discussion later.
Firstly, I want to answer to Ian comrade. I think he asked me what extent is the reduction support of the Marxism and socialism plan of the some of the protest organizer do you think? But say. Mm, in protest there is most different political forces are engaged um, in here. When we are talking about the geopolitics and international forces, there is majorly four forces are majorly engaged in here. One is the India, which is very mm, world our friends, and I earlier mentions our main import and also export with India, and we are share also in mass level. uh, our border are not sealed, we are free to going here and there, and our also other kind of people's relation is also there, and India always wanted to uh, we are not going realm of there, political, economical, and also other things, and so that they are always try to uh, going some influence upon here, and also protest, and also against the communist, also against the socialist. They are always trying to some some kind of building some chaos and building some negative narratives and such type of things. And we also share the border with China. We all know about the China was very long period. China was not very active in geopolitics. Now they are also becoming um, going to some active participation in geopolitics, especially in our countries. We share the border with Tibet, and Tibetan issue is the most important for China. Also, we are now involved with the MCC, which is called Millennium Challenge Corporation, is also under the mm, Indo-Pacific strategy, U.S. Indo-Pacific strategy. Our country is also engaging there. So China also offer the BRI, and we also um, upon BRI, and China is also doing some political forces, and they are always try to emphasize the left communist, and they are they were doing some roles upon alliance upon some like, different communist party. Now China is another force, then US is the major force, which is now main influential force in here. They are trying their their we are called their puppets. They are trying to grow or build some puppets on here, and they wanted to uh, uh, huge influence are here. In history, most of the people are not the side of US, and peoples are general peoples calling US to American imperialism. But in now we cannot say that. Most of the left intellectuals, Democrats, progressive intellectuals are funded by some kind of NGOs, program, consultants, such type of things. And our uh, our left intellectual are also uh, not cannot saying to US and US imperialism. They are, when we call the imperialism and US imperialism, US are trying to doing some happen in here. They were also, they are telling us, you are going to interpret some conspiracy theory, such type of things they are calling. And US is the US wanted to going build a hegemonic power and also influence here. And now in recent times and recent movements protest, US is we are calling US is the major forces behind this protest, and also behind these elections, behind this government. Because Nepal is not going to opposing the Israel in US General Council, Security Council, and such type of other international forum. Now we are, most of the power we are supporting the Israeli genocide. Our government, we are means our government supporting the Israeli genocides, supporting the US, supporting US operation on Venezuela, such type of thing. Otherwise, Nepal is silent. This is the situation. US is the more hegemonic power in here, and US wanted to defeated the socialist and communist, and they are trying to build some narratives upon the communist, socialist, and they funded to, who are the opposed to communist. They funded them. They are supporting some uh, uh, social media influencer, podcast. They are now in here managing some concert. Some youth peoples are interested in their, they are building some soft power, and they are most hegemonic power in here. Modi and RSS is also doing build some influence, and they are very mm, mm, success in here also. Because RSS uh, um, 13 branches of RSS in here, and they are functioning in here. And now they are trying to some build some chaos and some communal riots, some communal clash they are trying to building. And not the least, but last, Union is, we called European Union is also the one of the power, but that power is not most influential, and that power is very less influence. But this power is also in here. Mostly here is, now we are calling clash between the America, India, and China. Most of the time India is the support of America, but now India and America also clashing each other in some issues. Mm, but most of the time they are in one side and China is the other side. This political geopolitical tension is also cooking here. This is the one reason uh, uh, the communist and socialist are very defensive now. They are not doing able to doing some radical and drastic changes, maybe, I think. But communists have also not any alternative idea in here. They are not trying to build some programs. They are not doing to some mm, practical program against the neoliberal capitalism. This is also situation here.
Okay, comment. Any more comrades come in with questions, contributions? I would like to just point out that there's probably been few countries in the world, even today, that have seen such upheavals as Nepal has in the last 20, 30 years. It's, I mean, from the, where do we start? From the uprising which began, I think, in 1990, when you had the Civil War, which began in 1996, when we had the the royal massacre, when most of the royal family were just wiped out in a kind of palace brawl in 2001. You had the end of the Civil War in 2006. You had the abolition of the monarchy in 2008. And of course, we've had the new uprisings in just in the last few months. And I think in that situation, maybe it's understandable. I don't know. I would like to know what Prakash would think about this. Maybe it's understandable that there is a kind of war weariness. Maybe there's a feeling of disappointment that one after another, self-styled revolutionary parties and revolutionary leaderships sprang up, and in one way or the other, all of them let them down or betrayed them or failed to live up to the aspirations of the masses. The main issues behind it is still the same. This is, by the way, all of these things happened despite the fact that there was that kind of safety valve of emigration and of working in the Gulf countries and so on, and which is largely been a way of letting off the pressures of third world countries. But in Nepal, as I say, there's just constant bubbling away of these eruptions. And in this situation, I could understand that there would be a sort of cynicism, a sort of lack of faith, a skepticism in so-called revolutionary leaderships or communists and so on. I'd be interested to know what Prakash and other comrades think. And by the way, one of the things that we all want in the Workers' International Network is to get a bit of a taste, a bit of a whiff in our nostrils, if you like, of the struggles that are going on. So, I mean, the analysis is very important, but also we'd be very happy to hear some examples, some anecdotes almost, if you like, from the struggles, from the front lines of what. Since we have comrades here from Nepal and from other countries in the region, it would be very good to hear, just to get a feel of what are the emotions, what are the experiences, what are the aspirations of people on the ground, of workers, of young people, particularly of the unemployed youth, even of peasants and other oppressed strata of society. And so I would like to encourage comrades to come in. They don't need to come in with a full-scale analysis necessarily. Of course, we like to hear their analyses too. But if they just even give us a little something to give us a little flavour of the struggle, we would really appreciate that. So who wants to come in next? Bhawana, you spoke to a meeting of WIN a few months ago. Perhaps you'd like to add something? Hi.
Hi everyone. I'm Bhawana Ghimire. I'm from Nepal. I just want to add something. I just want to say to the world, um, don't idealize every protest and movement. Every protest and movement, they don't deserve this much of idealize or praise. And with the analysis of the Gen Z protest here in Nepal, if any progressive force is not ready, then the achievement or the space built by the protest or movement can be hijacked and used by the regressive force. That's the thing happening in Nepal, right? The protest, the mass of September 8 was genuine, and the dissatisfaction caused by the failure of communist forces here in Nepal, that was the genuine and organic. And the destruction of September 9, it was not organic. It's clear. There were destructive forces behind those destruction, and the genuine dissatisfactions and the peoples, they gathered in the street and demanded and the agendas, they are not being addressed, or the regressive, which is claiming themselves as the stakeholder of Gen Z movement, they are clearly not going to address those agendas or the demands. So regressive force, the RSP, Rashtriya Swatantra Party, regressive force is taking the space and claiming the stakeholders, and yes, they are using uh, the achievements of the movement for their own sake. And we are not heading forward or for the better. After the movement or protest, people have only two choice with this election. If they can vote either regressive force, which is claiming themselves as the a stakeholder of Gen Z movement, the regressive force, very regressive force, and then to support the status quo, they have only two choice. So we are in the vacuum of constitution as well. The so-called civil government or the interim government is not based on constitution. It's a very unconstitutional government, and the election is also unconstitutional. It's understandable with the change or the protest. It's normal to form a new kind of government, but it's a very unconstitutional though. I mean, we could have formed a new government within the parliament, or have put forward or take forward the agenda of changes through the parliament, but it didn't happen, right? So we are not moving ahead. We achieved nothing, only the destructions. Yes, we achieved one thing, which is very remarkable. That is, the young generation is very much political right now. As you already mentioned that with every 20 years, mm, there are always a protest and movement in Nepal. So after the dethrone of monarchy, this is the first massive protest happened. And after this protest, yes, the depoliticized generation is very political right now. After the promulgation of constitutions in 2015, the generation in this 10 years of period, the young generation basically was very depoliticized. Now they are politicized, but they are being political very wrongly, in very wrong manner, right? They are very tolerant to other political parties, and the political education is not that much based on philosophy or in the broader idea. They are, I mean, basically majority of this politicized generation is supporting regressive force. So there is a very regressive force can be in the power, and this new generation, or the Gen Z, or newly politicized generation is supporting this regressive force. So yeah, and the only way to move forward is we need a communist party or need a communist force here. Otherwise, we'll not be able to fight against the capitalism or capitalist imperialism. Without fighting this system, will not be able to resolve the problems here, like unemployment and all other issues, which are, I mean, we can't resolve. We're only talking about the condition here in Nepal. We need to think, or need to seek the solutions within the broader capitalist imperialist framework. So yeah, we need a very progressive communist force here, and there are sects or very small groups have very little influence. Is Prakash Devkota already mentioned, there are some political parties which were against the parliamentary system. They recently doing movement against rejecting this parliamentary elections, and government, the so-called civil government decided to repress them, and they are arresting hugely and putting them on the jail. Oh, yeah, it's going on. But we are not very much hopeful, but we are very fearful with the situation, because neo-fascist, very neo-fascist, who is, they are saying they are very supporter of liberal economic systems, or the people who worked for the World Bank and IMF. They are in that political parties in the leading positions, and the situations after the protest is cultivating for them. Situation is favoring for them, and majority mass are supporting them. If you say I support all political parties, then you may get beaten, you may get scolded, or, I mean, it's very unsafe to say I support all political parties, right? The situation is very favorable for the RSP, the neo-fascist party, and this government is working for them. It's very clear. It's working for the neo-fascist forces. So yeah, the situation is not very hopeful for the working class people. The situation may get worse and worse, but not better. Thank you.
Thank you, Bhawana, even though that's slightly depressing conclusion, but we have to see it also in the context of constant explosions throughout the region, to say nothing of throughout the world. And maybe I'm not disputing what you say, but what would you not say that the situation is so unstable and so volatile that mood could change quite quickly, particularly with in the context of uprisings and explosions in other countries in the region. Dominic, you're next.
Yeah, you'll have to excuse me. I'm not very familiar with the situation in the area, and you'll have to forgive my ignorance. But I'm just wondering what the comrades' attitude is towards the exploitation of the working class and the small farmers and so on by the capitalists. Do they go out to expose the nature of capitalism and put forward demands on behalf of the workers that they should share the wealth within society, have a decent living wage, have health provisions, have education provisions, that they produce the wealth for the capitalists who take it off them. And yet they, I assume, having to go to places like the Gulf to earn bread. It's a bit like my background is Irish, and Ireland, when it was under control of Britain, and only up until recently, the people of Ireland went abroad, mainly to Britain and America, but worked as labourers. And the education system in the country was poor. The health system was poor, and I can imagine it's not much different in Nepal and areas like that. And socialists have got to take up not the general sort of global situation. First of all, they've got to take up the situation that are facing the working class, and how we can work with the working class to fight for the conditions and fight for a better society on that basis. I'll leave it at that.
Thanks, Dominic. Any other comments? Jimmy?
Yeah, first of all, I want to compliment. I want to compliment both the guest speakers. They've been absolutely brilliant in the way that they have presented the information about their country, of which we have to admit little is known, particularly in the West. Very, very little is known, apart from the fact that they've got Mount Everest and very little else. I don't mean that to be insulting. It's just an understanding that I have that, according to the figures I've last seen, there's about 75% of the population engaged in agriculture, and often defined as peasants. A particular term I don't like, but it's one that's there, so we just have to deal with it. But about 20% of the workers, I understand, come from an industrial background. And the other thing is that there's about 500,000 trade unionists registered in Nepal. The questions I would have is, first of all, regarding the trade unionists, do the trade unionists, through their Congress, have any political affiliations, or are they open to influence in a democratic way to all political ideas and personalities? The second thing is, do the trade unions express any sort of a program that could be considered to be a political program to transform society on behalf of the working class? Now, I understand, and I think Dominic referred to it, about Ireland. There are many, many parallels to Irish history, in terms that we were a peasant nation with little or no industry, that even in my own lifetime, we were a poor, poor country with very, very little manufacturing. Yet we had a lot of resources lying undeveloped, which only in recent time have been developed. Now, again, I understand that Nepal is fairly deficient, particularly in the energy sector, that there's no oil, there's no gas, there's no solid fuels of any significance, that most energy has to be imported. But yet, one of the credits to the Irish government was the fact that they began an electrification scheme based on hydro, which kicked off a certain amount of industrialization, but eventually it finished up lowering the borders and inviting in, with enormous benefits, international capitalism to establish industrial locations from which followed. Sorry, I've just got to stop a second. I'm going to lose power.
Okay, thanks, Jimmy. More comments coming in? Or Jimmy,
sorry about that. What I wanted to say was that the parallels with Ireland were that we had to open up the economy, or at least the governments opened up the economy and invited in international capitalism. but mainly for initially low skills, high concentrated, but small industries. And it's only in recent years, following on the education programs of the last 20, 30 years, that the economy has been opened up, can be realised as a working class economy. Now, in Nepal, are those questions being asked? Again, in industry, I understand even from a local supermarket, an awful lot of clothing, women's clothing, disposable clothing, even men's clothing, a lot of it is manufactured in places like Nepal, as in Bangladesh and as in India and Sri Lanka. But the question I ask in relation to that, which appears to be a substantial market, is, are the raw materials for the manufacture of those garments based on a textile industry, or are the raw materials imported back in and just cheap labour used? So there's a fair few questions I have about it. I'd hand it back to the comrades. And again, I salute the contribution that they've made.
Absolutely. Thanks, Finn.
Yeah, I too want to thank Prakash and Bhawana for their opening contributions. I just have a brief question. As sources, we're internationalists, and our organizations, which are trade unions and political organizations, have to operate on an international scale. And we can't rely on the comrades in Nepal to overthrow capitalism there, because it's an international issue. And what I want to ask is, and we all do our best in the individual countries to fight for gains, but what kind of links exist between the organized trade unions and working class movement in India, for example? What relationship do they have with the organized workers in Nepal? And for that matter, also in Pakistan? Is there a regional forum or convention which brings together the trade union structures and worker activists, organized labor in the various countries in the region, and of course Sri Lanka as well? So because we're internationalists, we have to find an international approach and use every opportunity to bring workers together to fight capitalism on an international scale. So as I say, I'm interested in what links, what meetings, what fora, what kind of discussions exist between trade unionists in the major countries such as India, but also with Sri Lanka, Nepal, Bangladesh, and other countries of the region.
Thank you. Yes. Maybe Prakash or Bhawana, maybe you'd like to answer those questions.
Okay. One question is I will answer the comrade Finn. He asked me about the trade unions and some how the internationalism is going there. I think South Asia is the most difficult society, which is interpreted, which we are just where we are facing the difficulty to interpret here. Here is some regional tensions. These tensions always influence upon our working class politics, our internationalism, and our solidarity. India is India is the regional power, and Indian ruling class is always oppressed the this South Asian regions, and most of the people are always against the Indian ruling class. And when class consciousness is not spread huge mass, not spread upon the huge masses, then masses are also thinking not just a ruling class is our enemy, but all the peoples of Indian are also our enemy. And in most of the working class Indian is also um, saying we are the we are the superior, and you are the such type of behavior is doing in particular mass relations. This is the huge difficulties in here. So in South Asia, Nepal is the one of the most revolutionary land. Comrade Rogers mentions earlier. Here is also one quotation in Nepal. Most of the people saying, "We are, uh, we are dynamic people. We every decades we fought, and every decades we are protesting huge political movement." This is the quotation in here, political sphere, and most of the people are always conversation in political idea, politics, society, societal idea, such type of things. And so that's why here is the very political person are in here, but we cannot develop the international relations with South Asian comrades, South Asians, working class, with Pakistan, with Pakistani working class of trade unions movements, Indians working class trade unions movement, Sri Lankan working class trade unions movement, and Bangladesh, and also all over the South Asia. Now, this is the one difficulty. I mean, regional tensions and Indian ruling class, and we cannot build a counter hegemony, or we cannot build a counter hegemonic idea. That is our default, but this is the situation. But in Nepal, most of the country, where Communist Party is one-sided and trade unions are most of the time detached from Communist Party, Socialist Party. In here, trade unions are not detached from the parties. Most of the trade unions have their parties. They are the wings of parties, not just in communist parties, but in also Democrats. They have trade unions, and their trade unions are not detached with parties. Also student fronts, women's fronts, trade unions, others, people's fronts are not different with detached with political parties. But now in the Bhavana earlier mentioned RSP, which we called neo-fascist force, they are building some narratives. Trade unions must be detached from parties. Trade union must be detached from the political institution. They should be free. They should be doing their works, just their professions, not they don't have right to engage and affiliate with political parties. Most of the trade unions are engaged with uh, almost all of the trade unions are engaged with their parties, and parties don't build their international solidarity. This is the situation. Now we are facing this situation. Parties are mm, uh, mm, party working class people and other peoples are not believing in party, and then also not believing in trade unions leader, trade unions committees, and trade unions mm, struggle. This is the one difficulty. Another question maybe address Comrade Bhavana.
Bhawana, do you want to come in?
Which question, Prakash? I think you answered all the questions.
Maybe इंडस्ट्री वाला क्वेश्चन के उद्योग को बारे में शायद कई क्वेश्चन थे.
I don't know.
Maybe there are more questions or more points that comrades want to make.
No, I don't have any point to comment now? I think Prakash answered all the questions. So if there are other questions, then I'll answer. If not, then I think it's okay. He answered all the questions.
I'd like to just make a comment. It's clear from what Comrade Prakash and Bhawana have said that not, I was going to say despite, but perhaps not despite, that because of all the upheavals that I listed before, just over the last couple of decades, perhaps it's understandable there's a certain exhaustion, a certain disillusion, certain disappointment. It's quite interesting that the Communist Party seems to be, completely exposed by its collaboration with the with the right wing or with the ruling class, and there's obviously a vacuum, a political vacuum there. But what you said was very interesting. That there's, the lack of any kind of links of solidarity with the workers' movement in India and in other countries in the region. And that was, to be frank, in our very modest way, that was part of our ambition, part of our motivation in calling this meeting, was to invite comrades that we have from the neighbouring countries to come. Because really, when you see this youth uprising sweeping the entire region, what is very clear is there's not only no clear political aspirations to it, but also no links and no way of engaging and comparing experiences and interacting and so on. And that we were hoping, although the Workers' International Network is very small and modest in its aspirations, but we were hoping that at this meeting could be a beginning to link up the comrades in the different countries together to interact and to compare experiences and ideas and just learn from one another's struggles. I was hoping that a comrade from Sri Lanka, who is a very militant trade union leader, who's spoken several times at our meetings, she promised to come. That's Swastika Arulingam. She apparently she hasn't made it. Of course, she's preoccupied with all kinds of responsibilities. There was a comrade in who is a leader of the furthest left militant trade union front in India, comrade Ashim Roy. Again, was invited, gave his apologies, was not able to make it. And of course, there are comrades here from India and other countries too. But maybe we could still try to organize some way that comrades could meet together, simply just exchange experiences, exchange ideas, just even on the question of on the level of just um, sharing and pooling information, which would begin perhaps to develop links and lead to more coordination between comrades at the forefront of these struggles. Yes, Norma.
Yes, thank you, Roger. Just very briefly, but I want to thank the speakers today, Prakash, Bhawana, because really it's very important. And after your words, your final words, Roger, it's very important, at least for me, but I think I share some of this thought with many of you, that how different is the situation when we heard from the people, the basis, the people who are doing the job, who are suffering or who are living in those conditions, and how important is to characterize and to have as far as more complete idea and knowledge of the different regions in the world. Because It's not because we know what is happening in India or in some, and we see how the different regions, how they more big countries, and then the other countries who are different in different situations, and a different situation from Europe, and I should say so different from South America, which I know too. And it's one of with that I finish, and is that of the occasions which I think we had such a clear situation of the disparity in some way of the different and of the difficulties in these regions of the world, which we don't know directly because it's clear we are not there, we cannot. So it's I think it was very important, at least for me today, what Prakash and Bhawana said. And one word of phrase or statement by Bhawana. I have not addressed to her any question, but I take the occasion to say that she said, don't idealize, do not idealize all the protests or all the protesters or all the struggles. I think that they succeed, both of them, to transmit, the difficulties or the real situation, which is what we want to know in this network, I think. So thank you very much.
Okay, are there any other comrades who have a contribution or question? If not, perhaps Bhawana and Prakash, would
Roger,
you like to?
could I just make a comment, please?
Yes, sure.
I feel it's important to make it. In the last few moments, I've actually been running down the list of the affiliates of the Nepal Congress of Trade Unions. There's about 30 trade unions, and they represent people from manufacturing, from agriculture, from public office. They represent the broad spectrum of the working class. And one of the things that would be in my mind is that there might be a tendency there to have a rejection of the unions because some of them appear to have links with some of the so-called democratic, i.e. capitalist parties, while others have links with the Communist Party. I think it would be a tragic mistake to write off the trade union movement in Nepal. That rather, I would encourage the comrades, if they are not already doing so, which I assume they are, but I think they should encourage workers to join the trade unions and to become involved in the trade unions, because they are a structure created by the workers, for the workers, irrespective of whether their leadership may have different considerations, ambitions, or roles. I think it's really important to have an organisation that is a workers' organisation. And the one thing, again, just reflecting back on Irish history, when the Irish state was developed after a war of independence and a civil war, it was an economic mess, no resources, and pro-capitalist leaderships. There was still a trade union movement there, a base trade union movement, which, for better or for worse, has been a vehicle to organise workers throughout the history of this state, and we'd be in a far worse condition without those unions, even though leaders in the different generations, the leaders were problems, but the organisations were never the problem.
Thank you. That's an important point, comrade. If there are no other contributions, I'll ask Prakash and Bhawana. Would you like to reply?
No, thank you so much for this comment, for this opportunity, and um, I'm just saying, and this is my, I think, final conclusion. Uh, s- Nepal is the oldest country of South Asia. Nation state, as a nation state, oldest nation state of the South Asia, and Nepal have great revolutionary legacy, in especially in communist movement. In all over the world, communist movement has mainly two tactics. One is the peaceful transitions, and other is the violence revolutions or armed struggle. Nepal have Nepal have experienced two two kind of a two kind of those two kind of strategy or tactics, and two party become from two different tactics. One is the CPI CPN UML, which is the uh, very very large influence upon the mass, and they are doing some peaceful movement, and they are the first communist party of Nepal, which is elected to make government. And other is, you all know about the civil wars and CPN Maoist, and they are doing 10 years people's war, and some, they also became the rulers. Two different legacy, and not just two different struggle and tactics, two different struggle and practice are in the mm, two different practices became the ruling class. So there is huge experience in communist movements, trade unions, and also workers movement. But now there is very a difficult situation. No one is unfold no one is can unfold the real situation, and communists are, or also socialists are lost their belief in lost belief of people in their parties, their in trade unions, and their other sister organization. This is the situation, and other revolutionary sects are mostly becoming the mechanical. Maybe all over this situation is all over the world, but in now particular, when all over the world, especially East Bloc was disintegrate, Soviet Union was disintegrate, and mm, the psychology of communists are uh, decreasing in all over the world. That time, Nepal, um, revolutionary politics were going, but in now our politics is also destroying, decreasing, and also some sort of defeating. This is the situation, and we are trying to build new trade unions movement, new workers movement, and we are also, we hope we can build some left party, left campaign, and we wanted to we wanted to engage with international comrades, international mm, political parties, and also political Marxist political groups, and we are so desperate to share experience, and we are so excited to learning some experience from other sides of um, globe. And this is the, maybe this is the right platform, and this is the mm, I think good platform for us, and to build our solidarity, to share our experience, to share our knowledge, and to share our revolutionary tactics. So thank you. I'm so happy. I'm sorry I can convey my all arguments. Sorry. Also, thank you.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Comrade Prakash. Um, would you like to add anything, Bhawana?
Yeah, I also want to say thank you so much for the opportunity. Yes, our fight is within the nations. It's right. We need to fight against the ruling class, basically the bourgeois, and our fight is also against the international capitalism, basically the capitalist imperialism. So we need international solidarity, international for the international proletariat revolution. We need an international organization as well, right? International program, international solidarity, and international movement. So we are very excited and looking forward for the connections, for the solidarity, and all anything we can do internationally, globally, and as Prakash already said, this platform maybe the step or the right way to move forward. We are looking forward for the collaboration or to we are excited to learn from you all have so much of experience, I think. So we are ready or excited to learn from you and share some, yes, local context as well. So yes, thank you so much.
Well, thank you so much to both of you, comrades. That was absolutely inspiring and uplifting. Um, we don't claim to have all the answers. All we are trying to do, as we can, as is implicit in our name, we're the Workers' International Network. We learn from one another's experiences, from one another's struggles, from our victories, and also from our defeats and setbacks. And the purpose of our discussions is precisely to learn from one another's experiences. And that's why we really very, very much welcome the ideas and the attitude put forward by both of you, comrades. And this is only the beginning of our relations and our discussion. I hope we must please do come whenever you can to our meetings. We meet every week, and we have a website. Please contribute. Please record your experiences and your ideas. And let's continue to interact and to exchange ideas. We can learn from our struggle. That's the only way forward. So, with that, unless there's any other final comments anybody wants to make, I think we should close the meeting on that note. And again, our sincere gratitude to the comrades for their really enlightening contributions. Comrade, next week we'll be discussing the events in Britain. By that time, the structure and the uh, trajectory of the new Workers' Party in Britain, your party, is the elections for the executive of that will be announced by next week, and we'll have a discussion on the implications of that. I think it's not only an issue for British workers, but a lot of workers around the world are looking to Britain in the hope that maybe that this would be the start of rebuilding the workers' movement and starting a new initiative which can give a way forward not only for workers in Britain but for the labour movement internationally. Whether or not that happens and transpires is very much in the balance. I won't say any more about my reasons for saying that. But next week we're having a report on which way forward for the new party in Britain and what are the lessons worldwide. So I thank all the comrades for their attendance and participation. Once again, a hearty and sincere thank you to comrades Prakash and Bhawana, and I hope we see you again many times. Okay? Thanks, comrades.
Right.